Well, hey, the phone lines are open right now at the Question Center. We have these representatives from Wells Fargo here in the studio to answer your questions about the best ways to teach your kids how to save some money. It is always good to get that head start on saving and to learn at a young age. There are studies to prove it, folks. So call the number right there on the bottom of your screen until 6:30 tonight to find out what you need to know. Your Central Coast News starts right now.
Central Coast News right now. This is breaking news.
It's round two, but this afternoon things did not go according to plan for the prescribed burn on the former Fort Ord. This is time-lapse video of the smoke from earlier before that fire jumped its primary containment lines. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mark. This is Jess.
So the fire was contained before even spreading past secondary lines, but a school was evacuated at one point and homeowners were put on alert.
Right now, Ricardo Navarro standing by near Highway 68. And Ricardo, you were on scene when this fire got out of control.
Yeah, that's right, Mark and Jazz. Behind me is an area that the Army classifies as Unit 33. That was an area that was not supposed to burn today, but you can see the smoke still coming out of the ground, and more than 100 acres of that burned today. Now, originally, the plan was to burn 341 acres of Unit 7 just south of yesterday's burn. Ignition started around 9:30 this morning and went through 11 o'clock. At around 12:35, flames got through primary containment lines. How did this happen? The Army calls it skunking, meaning the flames moved slowly through cut vegetation, burning along slowly, and then once it gets to standing vegetation, that's when flames flared back up. But the Army says that they were prepared for something like this to happen.
That's exactly why we put the secondary line there. Primary line is the intent is to keep the fire inside there. With the secondary line, it's still on our property and it's maintained. We improved the roads in that area so the fire department can move around. So we basically plan for being able to operate against a fire in that area. They're not really concentrating on this end.
So the sea breeze that kicked in around 2 o'clock shifted the flames, and that moved the fire to Unit 4, another unit that was not supposed to burn, and that is where they are working now. Now, because the flames stopped before crossing over secondary containment lines, they are still considering this burn a successful burn. However, the Army did say that if things were going to plan or things went as planned, they would not be working right now. They would have been done, and you can see crews are still actively working. Again, roughly 500 acres were burned today when only the original plan was 341 acres. Mark and Jazz, back to you.
Yeah, quick work out there by those crews. So Ricardo, thanks. I mean, a very scary situation, though, for sure. Just people kind of watching as things unfolded. And we were driving on Highway 68 earlier today, and you saw the smoke really just looming up behind some of those homes. Of course, this is not the first time something like this has happened. Back in 2003, a burn on the former Fort Ord grew out of control.
It burned 1,200 acres over the containment lines. It was then called the Eucalyptus Fire. It was only supposed to burn 490 acres. As you can see in this video, most of the Monterey Peninsula was blanketed with that heavy smoke. An Army spokeswoman said they planned to change guidelines so it would not happen again and take weather conditions into consideration. And during today's situation, it was recommended that York School evacuate the property, and that's right off Highway 68. Central Coast News reporter Michelle Polito in Monterey. Michelle?
Hey, Mark. Well, aside from all the madness that was happening right behind me, the director of York School was notified at about 1:30 this afternoon that they should evacuate. Now, it wasn't a mandatory evacuation, but parents were asked to pick up students immediately. CAL FIRE advised the school that they were not in danger, but either way, the school took precautionary steps to ensure everyone's safety. We're being told that this is the first time York School has been through something like this.
Every grade level has a meeting place. Again, we have a very well-planned safety procedure for almost any circumstance you could imagine. And so we are sheltering in place. Every grade is going to a meeting place, and as parents come, they will be reunified with their students.
The school has been monitoring the controlled burn since Monday. Parents were also notified of all the activity that would be taking place. More than 200 students were evacuated this afternoon. School admin stayed on campus until every 8th through 12th grader was reunited with their parents. School is expected to be back in session tomorrow morning. Michelle Polito live in Monterey, your Central Coast News.
Now, good to hear they had those plans in place. Thanks, Michelle.
And to sign up for breaking news alerts, just visit our website, KIONrightnow.com. And for instant coverage, as always, follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
New information on a deadly shooting you saw first is breaking news right on our website and also our social media pages. A shootout between two cars on Highway 101 right near King City, leaving 3 people shot today. Central Coast News reporter Cassandra Arsenault is on scene with more on the conditions of these victims. Cassie?
Well, Jazz, the car eventually stopped off Highway 101 near Teague Avenue, which is in between King City and Greenfield. Once the Monterey County Sheriff's deputies arrived, they found 4 people in a pickup truck near a call box. 1 was already dead and 2 were flown to an area-based hospital. The 4th person was unharmed. Sheriff's investigators don't have a motive yet, but a source close to Central Coast News has said this is a gang-related retaliatory shooting. But both the victims and the possible suspects are well-known gang members.
Very vague, such a vague description on a vehicle. We don't want to put that out. It could be literally be thousands of vehicles in the area, so it's too vague to even broadcast.
There's no update now on the surviving victim's condition, but investigators say the injuries are life-threatening. This is still an ongoing investigation, and I'll be staying on this story as it develops. I'm Cassandra Arsenault, your Central Coast News.
All right, Cassandra, and to sign up for those breaking news alerts, just visit KIONrightnow.com. You want to send us then your email, and you'll see that form in the middle of the homepage.
And right now, an update to the big mess that we first told you about last night on Central Coast News after some power lines fell onto Highway 101 near Laurel in Salinas. At least 1 car reportedly hit those wires, and the entire situation knocked out power to more than 3,500 customers, including a portion of Northridge Mall. All lanes on Highway 101 were closed for about 1 hour until the road was cleared. And tonight, we are still waiting to hear from PG&E on what exactly caused those lines to fall.
There are productive negotiations going on with the Republican leader. I'm confident we'll be able to reach a comprehensive agreement this week.
Well, after days of inaction in Washington, there are now dueling plans to reopen the government and head off a default just before that Thursday deadline. The Senate plan would reopen and fund the government until mid-January and extend the debt limit until February. So House Republicans have a similar plan with more GOP sweeteners in it, including a 2-year delay in the health care law's tax on those medical devices and canceling health insurance subsidies for members of Congress and also the president's cabinet. Democrats are accusing House Republicans of trying to derail the Senate compromise, though, and the White House says if the House bill makes it to President Obama's desk, he will veto it. So even though we're inching closer, there's still no deal. Central Coast News reporter Jacqueline Tuala in the newsroom now, because Jackie, you're going to explain how we could be feeling that impact very soon on some state services.
That's right, Jazz. So we have a little more than 2 weeks before the state's carryover funds will run out, including school lunches and food stamps. The California Department of Finance says right now there are sufficient funds to keep benefits for programs going, but only through the end of the month. So if the stalemate continues into November, millions of families in California will see a drastic impact. And that impacts several programs, including CalFresh, or the food stamp program, which 1.9 million households rely on. Child and adult nutrition programs that provide 4.5 million breakfasts and lunches, and the Women, Infants, and Children program that supports low-income women and children at nutritional risk, and that would impact 1.5 million Californians. But there are programs that would not be impacted by the shutdown, such as unemployment insurance benefits, Medi-Cal, which provides aid for 1 in 5 people in the state, and supplemental security income for the aged, blind, and disabled, which 1.3 million people rely on. So as we know, we've already felt quite the impact in the Golden State, with federal workers and national parks taking a hit. Our budget is also not as stable as other states, and if the government doesn't get it together soon, things could just get worse from here. Jacqueline Tuala in the newsroom, your Central Coast News.
Jacqueline, thanks for that. And right now, disgraced former San Diego Mayor Bob Filner is now a convicted felon. Today, in a plea deal with prosecutors, Filner pleaded guilty to charges of felony imprisonment and 2 counts of misdemeanor battery. The state attorney general's office says Filner's plea agreement calls for 3 months of home confinement and 3 years of probation. He must also receive mental health treatment and forfeit his pension benefits. New information on Nathan Anderson, the man deputies call a serial carjacker. He's accused of stealing multiple cars across the Central Coast and even holding one couple at gunpoint over the weekend. This is what he looks like. Anderson is accused of ditching one stolen car in Corralitos before pointing his gun in a homeowner's face and then taking their car. And by the time police set up a perimeter, he was gone and apparently tried to force his way into a neighbor's home to escape. Anderson was last seen driving a blue 1995 Honda Civic this morning with a license plate number that you see right here on your screen, 3KK-F716. Anderson is known to steal all types of cars but seems to prefer Hondas. If you have any information on his whereabouts, you can call the sheriff's office at 831-471-1121. Jazz?
All right, Mark, let's check in with the question center right now. The phone lines are open. We have representatives from Wells Fargo here in the news studios to answer your questions tonight about how to teach your kids to save money, an important topic. Now, I have to mention here, Louis, before we talk to you, that British researchers, I just read this, they are telling us that our approach to money is basically set by the age of 7 years old. So this starts young. From when they're born to about 7, you can instill very good habits, and I know you have some tips as well.
Exactly, and like you said, it's all about starting early. So you have to start at an early age. I can start even before they can save the money. You can start saving for them, but some of the tips that we have is requiring them to save. So it's one thing, it's nice to try to save, but requiring them could actually help them get that habit formed. Also, let them make some purchases and some mistakes so they can learn from their own mistakes, because sometimes if parents tell us something, we might not get it until we actually live it. Also, give them the opportunity to earn, such as, setting chores and giving them some ability so they're able to actually earn some money, and that way they could save it. And then also make delayed gratification easier. So that way, by saving the money, not spending it right away, they're going to really understand the value. And then also, lastly, just kind of help them set that goal plan. Since, you're an adult, everybody knows pretty much how to save. Get them started, get that plan, and then help them get on it. So lastly is just that support and encouragement. So just making sure that if they are saving, try to help them and support them.
Yeah, and I know many parents do allowances, and I remember my mom and dad opened up a checking account at a young age. So yeah, very good advice, Louis. I'll let you answer the phone calls, keep them coming, be patient if both of these lines are taken. Again, phone lines will be closing at 6:30 tonight. The number is right there at the bottom of your TV screen. Louis, I'll be popping back over here with you. We're going to chat a little bit more about allowances and also go over, again, some of the things that parents can easily do at home. We'll be right back.